Okay, now on the back, go ahead and skip number 9 for now. We'll skip that. A polynomial, we're going to talk about that. It's not just a monomial, but a sum or a difference of many monomials. So anytime you see terms with pluses and minuses, you're now going into a polynomial. Okay? The highest exponent of a polynomial is called the degree. And when we write in standard form, we write highest degree to lowest. Okay, but we also care about alphabetical order. So we're gonna go highest degree to lowest alphabetically, if that makes sense. Okay, now I'll show you an example. All right, so number 10 is pretty straightforward because my highest degree would be k to the 5th. That would be the highest. Then we go to the third because there's no 4th degree. So you're gonna write high to low. When you do that, you must include the sign that goes with the monomial. So negative k to the 5th, that needs to go first. Then my next one is k to the 3rd, but notice I'm highlighting and including the sign. So minus 3k to the 3rd. Okay, what would be next is 2, so I'm highlighting the plus 1/4 k squared. And then what comes next is the 8k, because that would technically be the degree of 1. So plus 8k, and then minus 1 is what's left. Okay? Some of you, when you're solving, are not good at keeping the sign with the variable, so practice that. So this goes from 5, there's no degree for, to 3, to 2, so this would technically be 1, and then negative 1 we write k to the 0, or that could be k to the 0 degree. So that's why we write the numbers last, because they have a 0 degree. All right, we don't need that, but that's why they come last. Okay, next, 11, we've got to also go in alphabetically. So I need to do all of my A's first and then all of my B's last. So if it has an AB, I'm gonna list it before B, okay? I've gotta get rid of all of my A's and then we'll sort the B's. So what has an A? 18a squared b squared has an A. 7ab has an A. 4a to the 3rd has an A. All of those have to come before negative b squared. So not only are we doing the rate power, but we're also doing alphabetically. Okay. Also, I'm going to list only A's first. So the only term I have with only A's is this one, 4a to the 3rd. Okay, it's kind of like A's win. I have to list all the A's first. And if I have a B, I have a loser on the team. So the losers are gonna come last. If you're not first, you're last, right? So if I have to do all of the B's before I can even come here. So if I have an AB, those are going to be listed next. Now I need to get into degree because I have 2 terms with A's and B's. So what's going to be higher? Well, this degree is, these both have 2, that degree is 4. These both have 1s, that degree is 2. So I'm going to list the 18a squared b squared next. Because it has an A and a B, but it has the bigger degree. Then I'm gonna do plus 7ab. Okay, and finally, we can put B's at the end of the team. They're last, okay? So it's kind of confusing, but we've got to think of alphabetical along with degree. All right, so let's look at the next thing. We need to list all of the X's and then all of the XY's, then the Y's, then the number. I know it's a lot, but X comes first in the alphabet. We'll do all the X's, then Y's, and then we have a number. Numbers always come last. Okay, so my only term with only X's is here, negative X squared. Then I have a couple of terms with X and Y. So what's gonna come first is the bigger X. X to the third, that's my biggest X. So we're kind of labeling it with like X being the domination, like it's dominating the term. So plus 9, X to the third, Y. I've got to do the X to the third before I do the X to the first. Okay? Then I'm gonna do plus, because that's positive 5, 5xy squared. Then I'm gonna list the Y's, negative Y to the fourth, and then I have plus 2. Okay, so we did the X's, then the XY's, we listed the highest X first, then the Y's, then the number. Kind of a lot, but it's okay. It's gonna be important when we start factoring polynomials to have them in this order. Important. Next, classifying. Okay, let's do the left side first. If you have a degree of 0, that means you're a number. We call that constant. If you have a degree of 1, that would be like y equals x. That makes a line, so linear. If you have a degree of 2, that's y equals x squared, for an example. That would be quadratic. And if you have x to the third, for an example, that would be a cubic. X to the fourth would be quartic. And 5 is quintic. Okay? Number of terms, and I'll talk about the difference. That's where the omials come in, the polynomial, monomial, whatever. If you have one term, you're monomial. If you have two terms, two things, binomial, bicycle, those have 2 tires. Okay, trinomial, tricycle, those have 3 tires. And for plus, we don't have specific names for them. They are just a polynomial. So when we classify, we've got to classify with degree and number of terms. So like 13, how many terms do I have? They're separated by pluses and minuses. So I have 1, 2 terms. That makes a binomial. And what's the degree? Well, this is x to the first, so this is a linear binomial. Okay, and we usually write the degree first, sorry. So this one has 3 terms, 1, 2, 3. And I have x to the 5th is the highest power. These may or may not be in standard form. So that gives me a quintic trinomial. Cool. Next, all I have is 24. We've been talking about that. That's a monomial. It's just one term. But 24 means it's a constant. That's just a number. If you were to graph it, you would just get a straight horizontal line. Constant. 16. Well, the highest degree is 3. That makes it cubic. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. When you have 4 terms, we don't have a specific word for that. We just call it polynomial. Okay, if you try the next 2, x squared, we should know that. Okay, the next two, quadratic, x squared, trinomial, 1, 2, 3, 18, quartic, x to the fourth, monomial, one term. Okay, give an example of a cubic binomial. So something with two terms and then x to the third. 1 sec. Okay, 5x to the third plus 5. That's an example. Then a linear monomial. Hold on, guys. Linear is anything to the first power, so like x, and monomial is one term. So like 5x. Okay, that's it for your second page. Finish those notes and show them to me tomorrow.